Welcome to Recovery Restart, a substance abuse treatment center providing compassionate support and psychological services to those struggling with addiction. We are here to help you answer any questions. Please visit us online at recoveryrestart.com or call us at 888-519-3950.
So how long have you been at Recovery Restart?
I am working on 60 days.
Good. And from your time that you've been here, what aspects would you say have been the most beneficial for you regarding the program?
I particularly like the group therapy sessions that we have. I seem to get a very lot out of that. Like, I'm learning from the other guy's experience, and I may not have experienced that particular thing, but hearing their story and hearing how they're dealing with that story has brought a lot of within me that I tend to not look at or hide, you know.
So it helps you get some self-realization indirectly.
Right. Exactly.
So what areas that you hadn't realized before that you could have used growth on, that you've now, from listening to other people's experiences, you started seeing self-growth in those areas?
I think a lot of it was the honesty with myself. I mean, I didn't want to admit a lot of things that were in my past that I would say, you know, I dealt with that, and it's gone, and then you hear about these other guys and their family situations and things like that, and how they worked through it within their family, and I just covered it up. So it was the self-awareness that they brought to the forefront for me.
So it's more of the area of denial, where you didn't realize it, but now that you have others who have been down that same path, have had the same struggles, does it kind of hit more home to you now that it's real?
Yes, it's, you know, just being around others and knowing that you're in a safe environment and you've got that feeling of, I can share this with somebody, and even if it didn't happen to them, something similar has probably happened. You're not alone. That you're not alone feeling goes away.
So now that you are in almost 60 days and you're almost getting ready to kind of take a step back and discharge from the program, what are your goals? Do you see yourself doing and active in recovery? What are your specific goals for the next year?
Well, for the next year, I definitely plan on maintaining a sober network, you know, through my therapists and with my meetings, my outside, my sponsor, my sponsorship family. I'm lucky enough that my sponsor is a gentleman who's been clear for several years, and then his sponsor, which would be my grand sponsor, is also, he's been clean for like 20 years. So I actually have like a sponsorship family here that I can utilize.
What type of life skills specifically have you learned while you've been at Recovery Restart?
We have a couple of different groups that are great. One of our groups, we learned some cooking skills. Not everyone comes in being able to be independent, like cook for themselves. They're not familiar with anything other than microwavable meals.
Right.
So we have that, but then we also have like the employment side of it. We have a counselor here who can help us work up resumes, get the assistance we need in finding leads for jobs and things like that, so that once we come out of the program, we're not just kind of with that feeling of I'm dumped. You're not left with that I'm dumped feeling.
Right.
And now where do I go? What do I do?
Right. So with all of those groups and those services, do you feel that you're better equipped now of going back in the real world, even though it's you'll still come back maybe for IOP services, but do you feel you're more ready to be a little more independent?
Yes, it's definitely helped. And mainly the big thing is that it helps me with is relating the sobriety to real life.
Right.
Yeah, in my addiction, I was able to work, and I had a great job, and you know, all of that stuff. I had my own place, so I was independent. But how to work the sobriety part into that?
Absolutely.
This place has helped tremendously with intermingling.
Absolutely.
Because before, that's not what I was doing. I guess you would call me more of a functioning alcoholic.
Absolutely.
I could do that and still maintain.
Right.
Or at least I thought I was maintaining.
Right.
You know, that denial comes back in. You're not maintaining, but at least you think you are.
Right.
Here now I can recognize that, and recognize that other people see that.
Absolutely.
even though I don't think they do.
Right. So even though in your view, you view yourself as functioning where you still were independent, you carried a job even through your addiction at its worst, what coping skills do you plan to utilize now, going back out, being in the real world, gaining your independence back, but now in a sober mindset? What changes in regards to coping skills and just daily life do you anticipate experiencing?
The coping skills that I think are one of the big ones is going to be that self-awareness. What's going on that may trigger me? Some of the trigger things that happen, you have a bad day at work and the first thing you do is run the happy hour.
Right.
Well, what was it that triggered it, and what can you do in my mind actually?
Right.
What can I do in my mind to say, I really don't need this, I can do this other thing. I can actually have fun living sober. So I don't need to go to happy hour to unwind. I can go play miniature golf, and there's so many other things that I could be doing.
Right.
And so with the coping skills, sometimes you just have to take that step back and say, what's really going on here?
Right.
And reevaluate yourself. I've definitely learned that my first thought is not always the best thought. Always.
A lot of times.
Most of the time, I need to rethink.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest coping skills that I've learned is to take that step back.
And that's actually a strength, and it shows that you have grown, because I think like you said, taking that step back for self-realization, that's a strength. I don't think a lot of people utilize that, particularly when you are in addiction and you're just thinking of the next time to use, or stuff that from daily life, stressors, you run to the happy hour like you said.
Exactly.
But now in those moments of stress, taking a step back and realizing, okay, plan A is not the best way, so what is plan B? And I'm proud of you. I think you've come a long way in 60 days. Good.